Good morning, friends. Today we are going to talk about hemodynamics part 2. In the last class, we talked about the basics of hemodynamics. Hope you remember what are the topics we covered in hemodynamics part 1. If you have the notes, you just take a look. In hemodynamics part 1, we talked about the general principles of hemodynamics, general circulation, and we talked about the arteries, veins, types of blood flow, and peripheral resistance. Now in hemodynamics part 2, we'll talk about the velocity, flow, and pressure relationship. In this, velocity versus flow and velocity versus pressure are dealt separately, and we'll also talk about the flow, pressure, and resistance, how these three things are related. Then we'll talk about the turbulent flow. I hope you remember we talked about in types of blood flow. We talked about the laminar flow and the turbulent flow. Laminar flow is the normal blood flow which occurs in layers, whereas turbulent flow occurs when the velocity is increased above the critical velocity. And in this aspect, we'll talk about the Reynolds number, which determines the turbulence of blood flow, and also the Poiseuille-Hagen formula or Poiseuille-Hagen equation, and critical closing pressure. And lastly, the law of Laplace. Here velocity is equal to Q by A, where Q is the flow and A is the area, that means the cross-sectional area of the blood vessel. And in velocity versus pressure, we'll talk about the Bernoulli's principle. So these are the things we are going to cover in hemodynamics part 2. And hemodynamics part 2 deals with mainly the pressures, flow, velocity which govern the circulation. Operation of these things will see that the circulation of blood is harmoniously done. That means the circulation is in a smooth way. Because of the operation of these pressures, velocity and flow, the circulation will be done harmoniously. So this is the more important aspect of hemodynamics. You just note down these headings so that you will know what are the things we are going to talk about in hemodynamics part 2. Velocity, flow, pressure relationship. In this, velocity versus flow and velocity versus pressure, and also flow, pressure, resistance. And we will talk about the turbulent flow, in which we will talk in detail about the Reynolds number and Poiseuille-Hagen equation, and also the critical closing pressure and law of Laplace. coming to the velocity versus blood flow. Velocity is equal to flow divided by area. Area is the total cross-sectional area of the blood vessel. For example, if this is a blood vessel, if this is the blood vessel, blood is flowing with a certain velocity. So the velocity is directly proportional to the flow. That means if the velocity is more, then the flow will be more. But if the velocity is more, or if the cross-sectional area is less, then the velocity will be more. If at all the same vessel is getting divided into different branches, now here the cross-sectional area is less, so the velocity is more. Whereas as the vessel has divided into different branches, the cross-sectional area is increased, because we will take the cross-sectional area of all these branches, not individual branch. So compared to the main vessel, here the cross-sectional area is increased. If the cross-sectional area is increased, then what will happen to the velocity? It will naturally decrease. So the velocity of flow is more in the larger arteries, because the cross-sectional area is less. When the same vessel is getting divided into different branches, then the cross-sectional area of the blood vessel will increase. And once the cross-sectional area is increasing, the velocity will decrease. So velocity is directly proportional to the flow and inversely proportional to the cross-sectional area of the blood vessel. So when the blood is flowing from the arteries to the branches, the velocity is decreasing. If we see the same thing in veins, so here venules will join to form veins, and now the cross-sectional area of the venules is more, so the velocity here will be less. And as they are joining to form the veins, the cross-sectional area is decreasing in the veins. So if the cross-sectional area is decreasing, then that means since the velocity is inversely proportional to the cross-sectional area, the velocity will decrease in the veins. Here the cross-sectional area is more, so the velocity will be less. And here as they have joined to form the veins, the cross-sectional area is decreased. So if the cross-sectional area is less, then the velocity will be more, since they are inversely proportional to each other. Did you understand clearly? The velocity increases. So the velocity increases as the blood flows from venules to the veins, because in the veins the cross-sectional area is decreased. So the velocity increases as the blood flows from venules to veins. Whereas as the blood flows from large arteries to the smaller arteries, the velocity decreases, because the cross-sectional area is increasing. So here it is opposite. In the venules the velocity is less, and in the veins or the larger veins the velocity is more. Whereas in the larger arteries, since the cross-sectional area is less, the velocity is more. In the smaller arteries or arterioles, since the cross-sectional area is more, the velocity is less. So you just note down this point. The velocity is increasing as the blood is flowing from the venules to the veins, whereas the velocity is decreasing when the blood is flowing from the larger arteries to the small arteries are arterioles. Now coming to the velocity versus pressure. So the change in the pressure changes the velocity in any fluid. Of course we are talking about blood here, so the change in the pressure will change the velocity, and there are two types of pressures in the blood vessel. One is the static or lateral pressure. And the other is dynamic pressure. So the lateral pressure is the pressure that is exerted by the column of blood on the walls of the arteries, whereas dynamic pressure is that component of pressure which is affected by the kinetic energy. That means as the flow increases, the dynamic pressure or the dynamic component of the pressure also increases. And Bernoulli's principle, here regarding this aspect we will talk about the Bernoulli's principle, which states that the total pressure, that is the static pressure plus dynamic pressure in a closed system, always remains constant. Bernoulli's principle states that the total pressure, that is the static pressure plus dynamic pressure will always remain constant in a closed system. And this principle is derived by Daniel Bernoulli in 1738 in the book written by him by name Hydrodynamics. So if the lateral pressure is decreased, then the dynamic pressure will increase to maintain the total pressure constant. So the relationship between the dynamic and lateral pressure in the vascular system with different diameter vessels is compared. See, for example, this is the vessel with different diameter. And here two tubes are placed which will measure the dynamic pressure and lateral pressure. This will measure the lateral pressure and this will measure the dynamic pressure. And here also same, in the narrow part of the vessel two tubes are placed which will measure both the dynamic and lateral pressure. And this arrow indicates the flow of blood in the vessel. The tube with this two diameters, which is one is wider and the other part is narrow. And here up to here is the lateral pressure, which is more in the towards the vessel wall, and this is the dynamic pressure. And here, but the total pressure is same. See, lateral pressure is more and dynamic pressure is less, but the total pressure is coming to same. And here also, here since the vessel is narrow, the velocity of flow is increased. So if the velocity of flow is increased, that means the dynamic pressure is increased. That means the kinetic energy of the flow is increasing. Then the kinetic energy directly depends upon the dynamic pressure. If the kinetic energy is increased, then the dynamic pressure will increase. Since the vessel is narrowed, the velocity of flow will increase, and that will increase the dynamic pressure, whereas the lateral pressure will be decreased. This is the dynamic pressure, which is more compared to the dynamic pressure of the wider vessel, but the total pressure will be same. So here in the wider vessel, the velocity is less. Since the velocity is less, the kinetic energy of the flow is less. If the kinetic energy of the flow is less, then the dynamic pressure will be less, but the lateral pressure will be more, so that it will compensate with the dynamic pressure and see that the total pressure will remain constant. Whereas in a narrowed vessel, the velocity of flow will increase. That means the kinetic energy of the flow is increased. So if the kinetic energy of the flow is increasing, that means the dynamic pressure will increase. Though the lateral pressure here is less, the dynamic pressure is more, and it will see that the total pressure will remain the same. According to Bernoulli's principle, the total pressure, that means the dynamic pressure plus the lateral pressure, will always remain constant in a closed system. Here we can see that in the wider vessel, what is happening, the flow is less, so the kinetic energy of the flow is, the velocity of flow is less, so the kinetic energy of the flow is less. If the kinetic energy of the flow is less, then the dynamic pressure is less. Here, to compensate for the lesser dynamic pressure, the lateral pressure is increased. Whereas in the narrowed vessel, the flow is increasing. If the flow is increasing, that means the kinetic energy of the flow is, the velocity of flow is increasing, so the kinetic energy of the flow is increased. If the kinetic energy of the flow is increasing, the dynamic pressure will increase. And here the lateral pressure is less, and it will see that the total pressure will remain constant. So the dynamic pressure and lateral pressure will act in such a way that the total pressure will remain constant. If the dynamic pressure is increased, the lateral pressure will decrease. If the dynamic pressure is decreased, then the lateral pressure will increase, and see that the total pressure remains constant and fulfills the Bernoulli's principle. Since this is a recorded video, if you don't understand, you just see it once again, or you watch it once again, so that you can understand better. And flow pressure resistance. Pressure is one of the main determinant of the rate of flow. If the pressure is more, then the flow will be more. Increased pressure will always increase and decreased pressure will always decrease the flow. So the relationship between the flow, pressure and resistance in a hydraulic system, it is well compared with the relationship between current, electromotive force and resistance in an electrical circuit. See, if you see electrical circuit, according to Ohm's law, current is directly proportional to the electromotive force and inversely proportional to the resistance. Whereas in the circulation, flow is directly proportional to the pressure and inversely proportional to the resistance. That means if the resistance is more, then flow will be decreased. There will be less flow to that part where there is increased resistance. Whereas if the pressure is increased, then the flow will increase. The flow and pressure are directly proportional and flow and resistance are inversely proportional. And one more thing about the Bernoulli's principle, if you take the clinical aspect of the Bernoulli's principle, if there is any stenosis, for example aortic stenosis, then that means there will be narrowing of the aortic valve. That increases the velocity of the aortic flow, and whenever there is narrowing of the vessel, the velocity of flow is increasing, isn't it? And the dynamic pressure will also increase. And since the dynamic pressure is increasing, the lateral pressure will decrease. For example, this is the aorta. Remember, we are talking about the Bernoulli's principle since we missed this part, clinical aspect of the Bernoulli's principle. So if this is the aorta and it is stenosed, narrowed, and when the aorta is narrowed, that means when there is aortic stenosis, the velocity of flow will increase, and that will increase the kinetic energy, and in turn that will increase the dynamic pressure. So what is happening in the aortic stenosis? Whenever the aorta is narrowed, whenever there is stenosis of the aorta, that will increase the flow of blood, and that flow of blood, that increase in the flow of blood will increase the kinetic energy of the flow, and that will in turn increase the dynamic pressure. Since the dynamic pressure is increased, according to Bernoulli's principle, if one pressure is increasing, the other pressure will decrease. If the dynamic pressure is increasing, then the lateral pressure is decreasing to maintain the constant total pressure, isn't it? So here, because of this stenosis, the velocity is increased, kinetic energy increased, dynamic pressure is increased. Since the dynamic pressure is increasing here, the lateral pressure will decrease. So the aorta, it has coronary artery at right angle to it. So immediately above the stenosis, the coronary artery is there at right angle to the aorta. So when the dynamic pressure is increasing, the lateral pressure is decreasing here. That means the amount of blood flowing to this coronary artery is reduced. See here, aortic stenosis, because of the stenosis in the aorta, the flow is increased. If the flow is increased, what is happening to the dynamic pressure? It is increasing. And to compensate for this dynamic pressure, increase in the dynamic pressure, the lateral pressure will increase. So at right angle to this aorta, there is coronary artery. So since the lateral pressure is decreasing, the coronary artery will get less amount of blood. And if the coronary arteries receives less blood, then the artery will not be heart will not be perfused and the heart will get less blood supply. That will cause myocardial ischemia. That means decreased blood flow to the heart. That will result in myocardial ischemia. So myocardial infarction is common in aortic stenosis. So this is the clinical aspect of the Bernoulli's principle. Hope you have understood. Whenever there is stenosis of the aorta, the dynamic pressure, the flow of velocity of flow is increasing. That will increase the dynamic pressure. To compensate for this increase in the dynamic pressure, the lateral pressure will decrease. That means the artery which is present at right angle to the aorta is the coronary artery. So if the lateral pressure is increasing, that means the coronary artery will receive less blood supply. If the coronary artery is receiving less blood supply, then the myocardium will result in ischemic necrosis or ischemia. That means it is getting less blood supply. That is why myocardial infarction is more common in aortic stenosis. So here we were talking about the flow, pressure and resistance. Flow is directly proportional to the pressure and inversely proportional to the resistance. So whenever there is increase in the resistance, the flow is decreased. That means whenever there is peripheral resistance is increased, the flow to that particular tissue is decreased. This is the relation between flow, pressure and resistance. Flow is directly proportional to pressure and inversely proportional to resistance. And turbulent flow. Turbulent flow occurs when the velocity is above the critical velocity. Up to the critical velocity, the flow is in laminar. That means the flow is a streamline. The blood flow is streamline or in layers. When it is above the critical velocity, then it results in turbulent flow. And this probability of the turbulence is expressed in terms of Reynolds number. That means the Reynolds number is calculated as density, diameter and velocity of blood flow and viscosity. Normally in laminar flow, the Reynolds number is 2000. If it exceeds 2000, then that will result in turbulent blood flow. It is calculated by density into diameter into velocity of the blood flow and inversely proportional to the viscosity. That means if the viscosity is more, then there will be turbulence of the blood flow. The Reynolds number will be more than 2000 and that will result in turbulence of the blood flow. So the Reynolds number determines the turbulence of the blood flow. Now coming to the Poiseuille-Hagen formula. So the Poiseuille-Hagen formula, it denotes the relationship between the viscosity of the fluid with the radius and length of the tube, and it is calculated as resistance is directly proportional to the viscosity and length of the blood vessel, whereas inversely proportional to the radius of the blood vessel. If the radius is increased by 4 times, then the resistance is increased by 16 times. If the radius is reduced to half, that means if this is reduced to half, then the resistance is increased by 16 times. So the flow varies directly with the fourth power of the radius, and blood flow is markedly affected by a small change in the diameter of the vessel wall. That means if the vessel wall is changed minimally, then also you can see a marked change in the blood flow. And the blood flow becomes double in a vessel by just increasing the radius to about 20%. See, if the radius is reduced to half, we are saying that the resistance is increased to 16 times. If at all the blood vessel, the radius of the blood vessel is doubled, then the flow will reduce to a very much lesser extent. And the flow affects the pressure, and change in the diameter changes the flow and pressure. See, if there is change in the diameter of the vessel wall, if the diameter of the vessel wall is increased, then the resistance is decreased. If at all the blood vessel is reduced to half of its size, then the resistance is increased to 16 times. So this is how the resistance changes with the radius of the vessel wall. So this is about the Poiseuille-Hagen formula. Now critical closing pressure. If you take a rigid tube, then the flow and pressure will increase linearly. That means a linear relationship exists between the flow and pressure. With increased flow, the pressure will increase. If you take a rigid tube, this is the flow and this is the pressure. They have a linear relation. That means if the flow is increasing, the pressure will increase. If the pressure is increasing, the flow will increase. But in blood vessels, this relationship is different, especially in capillaries. In capillaries, that is in smaller arterioles or in capillaries, the flow stops when the pressure is reduced beyond a point. So this is the flow, this is the pressure. If the pressure is reduced to a very lesser extent, if the pressure is very low, then the flow almost stops. There will not be any flow in the blood vessel. This pressure where the flow stops is known as critical closing volume. That means here the pressure is so low that there will not be any flow to the tissues. This pressure where flow where the pressure is completely zero or very less, that is known as critical closing volume. And this is explained by two factors. One is pressure is required to force the red cells to pass through the capillaries. See, some amount of pressure is needed for the blood to flow in the vessel wall. Since the pressure is very less or the pressure is zero here, the blood cells cannot be pushed forward or the blood cannot be pushed forward, so the flow will be very less or nil. As the pressure increases, again the flow will increase. And this point where there is zero pressure and no flow, that is known as critical closing volume. And one more thing, if in a blood vessel there will be tissues surrounding this which will exert some pressure on the vessel. So the pressure in this blood vessel should be more than the pressure exerted by the tissues, then only there will be flow of blood. If the pressure inside the blood vessel is very less compared to the tissues surrounding this vessel, they exert some pressure over the vessel. If it cannot overcome the pressure which is exerted by the surrounding tissues, blood cannot flow to the tissues. So the pressure inside the vessel wall should be more or should overcome the pressure exerted by the tissues outside the vessel wall or outside the vessel. And law of Laplace. It states that, for example, this is the vessel or a hollow viscous. So there will be pressure being exerted inside the vessel wall. If the radius of the vessel wall is more, then the tension surrounding the vessel will also be more. if the radius of the vessel is less, for example, if you take the aorta or any large arteries, the radius of the vessel will be more, and when the radius of the vessel is more, the tension exerted over the vessel wall will also be more. Whereas if the radius of the vessel wall is less, for example, if you take capillaries or arterioles, the pressure exerted inside the vessel is less because of the lesser diameter, and if the diameter is less, then the tension exerted by the surrounding tissues over this vessel will also be less. That is why the capillaries are less prone to get ruptured. Though they are very thin walled, they don't get ruptured because of this aspect. That means because of the lesser radius or lesser diameter of the vessel wall, the tension surrounding this vessel also will be less. Since the tension surrounding the vessel is less, they are less prone to rupture. Though they are thin walled, they will not get ruptured because of this lesser tension exerted by the surrounding tissues. So this is about the pressure, flow, velocity and the relation between these three. So now we talked about the velocity and blood flow. The velocity depends upon the flow and the cross-sectional area. It is directly proportional to the flow and inversely proportional to the cross-sectional area. That means if the velocity is more, if the flow is more, then the velocity is more. If the cross-sectional area is more, then the velocity is less. It is inversely proportional to the velocity. That is why in the larger arteries, since the area is less compared to the capillaries into which the artery is dividing, the cross-sectional area of the larger artery is less. So the velocity here will be more. Whereas in venules, if you take the veins, all the venules will join to form the veins. So the cross-sectional area of all the veins will be more than the cross-sectional area of the larger vein. So the velocity in the venules is less, and the velocity of flow in the larger veins is more because of the lesser cross-sectional area. The Bernoulli's principle. It states that the total pressure, which includes the static pressure and dynamic pressure, remains always constant in a closed system. That is why whenever there is increase in the dynamic pressure, the lateral pressure will decrease. Whenever there is increase in the lateral pressure, the dynamic pressure will decrease, so that the total pressure will remain constant. And turbulent flow. It occurs above the critical velocity, and it depends upon the diameter of the vessel wall and viscosity of the blood. And the turbulence is expressed in terms of Reynolds number, which can be calculated by the density of the fluid, diameter of the tube, and also the velocity of the flow. And it also depends upon the viscosity of the blood. And if the Reynolds number is 2000, then the blood flow occurs in a streamline or laminar flow. If it is more than 2000 or if it is around 3000, then the turbulent flow occurs. Then Poiseuille-Hagen formula. It denotes the relationship between the viscosity of the fluid with the radius and length of the tube. So it is directly proportional to the viscosity. Resistance is directly proportional to the viscosity and length, whereas inversely proportional to the radius. The more the radius, the lesser the resistance. If the radius of the vessel wall is reduced, then the resistance will increase. If the radius of the vessel wall is increased, then the resistance will decrease and there will be more amount of blood flow. And the flow should always be optimal. It should not be more or it should not be less. Both are dangerous. See, because if the the radius of the vessel is reduced to half, then the resistance will increase. If the radius is reduced, then the resistance will increase. If the resistance is increased, there will be less amount of blood flow to the tissues. Then that means the tissues will be deprived of nutrition and oxygen, because since there is lesser blood flow. If at all the radius is increased, radius of the blood vessel is increased and the resistance is reduced, and here if the radius is reduced and resistance is increased, there will be less blood flow and the tissues will be deprived of oxygen and nutrients. And if the radius of the blood vessel is increased, then do you think the tissues will get more amount of oxygen and nutrition? See, if the radius of the blood vessel is increased, the resistance will decrease. That means there will be more amount of, or the blood will flow at a high speed. If the blood is flowing at a very high speed, the tissues will not get enough time to take the nutrition and oxygen from the blood. So here also, if the blood flow is too fast, then also the tissues will be deprived of oxygen and nutrients. So the flow should be optimal for the tissues to get enough nutrition and oxygen. It should not be too fast or it should not be too slow. And law of Laplace, the lesser the radius of the vessel wall, the lesser will be the tension surrounding the vessel wall. That is why capillaries which are very thin walled, they are not prone to get ruptured. Because though they have very thin wall, they are not prone to rupture, only because of this reason, that the tension surrounding the tissues or surrounding the vessel is less, and that denotes the law of Laplace. So this, here we complete the hemodynamics topic, and we just go through the hemodynamics part 1 and also part 2. If you have any doubts, please post your doubts so that they can be cleared, and try to read the hemodynamics topic, and so that it will be clear for you. As soon as you listen to this lecture, if you read the topic, it can be more clear for you, and if you have any doubts, you just post in the group or personally so that it can be clear. Thank you.